All right, everyone. Welcome to the 2408 Aspen Updates in an Instant. As always, we kind of go through a few of the little patch releases we had. Nothing super specific in 240701, a little bit of work for us on making our move to Debian easier. We'll talk more about that later as well. 240702. We've had a few issues with various ILSs where if your standard bib data has tags that are the same tag used as the item record, when we kind of merge those together, it has a little bit of invalid data. Those the fields in the bib data are things that are um, generally they're just in error. So we've seen them coming over from like Marchive and that kind of thing. So we're just ignoring those on an import and update just to make everything run a little smoother. 240710 did some work on Palace Project. Thanks to the testing from some of our libraries, we found some issues with um, how Palace Project was working within a consortium. If you had um, several libraries that had overlapping collections, so maybe you've got 5 or 6 libraries or 50 libraries that all have Palace Project collections, but different library IDs. Um, the Palace Project titles were only showing for one of the libraries. So that is all fixed and updated. Then 2408. So Aspen Lita, Jordan will talk about it a little bit later, but so we'll get back there. Let's dive into some of the accessibility updates. Oh, and before I start, let me jump down to the bottom and just thank all of our contributors, of course. So we couldn't do it without everybody. So from Bywater Solutions, had all 4 of us that do development contributed. James Staub from Nashville Public Library made some contributions. PTFS Europe, several contributors there. And Tech A Solutions, Lucas contributed. So as always, thank you everybody for your contributions. So accessibility updates. I'm just going to show a little bit of this. We keep working to make Aspen more and more accessible and more usable as well as accessible. So one of the things we did that I'll show, as you tab through, you can now expand and collapse different sections just by using the keyboard. So either enter or space will work to open and close those. Kind of hard to show without a mouse, but my fingers are moving. Also added some tab paths for refresh buttons on the hold page, getting up to languages and display and that kind of thing. So nice things just to make Aspen a little bit more accessible. Then we had some account updates. You may all remember this from the community meeting. It was something that actually happened during the community meeting. There's now the ability to show renew your card within the library cards. And this is a thing for mobile. So in mobile, your library card expired message is harder to find. So if we switch this down to an iPhone type size, it's a little harder to see. It's there as well now and there. So easy to refresh your card. We just wanted to make sure that renewing your card was super easy. So good stuff there. For Aspen Lita, so we are working on, and Jordan will talk about this a little bit more later too, we are working on notifications from the ILS. So the idea is, hey, I've got a hold and I want to know that it's available at the library. This is pulling the information from Koha. So right now this is just working with Koha. We'll get to other ILSs later. But the idea is that we can say, hey, if I want a item checked in or item checked out, we can say that that's enabled. Maybe we don't want to do some of these other ones, article requests. that kind of thing. So you get to kind of pick and choose what you want, save those. Aspen automatically pulls the full list of everything that is available so that you can turn them on or off. And then next month, hopefully, those will start showing up within Lita. So we got the first part of all the setup there, but then the actual like work within Lita to do the actual push notification is coming soon. Cloud library. So at least Kansas, and I'm not sure if other states do, have a deal with Cloud Library where you use your Kansas State library card in order to check titles out from Cloud Library. So rather than checking things out directly on your library card, you get your Kansas State library card, and then you can check things out. So that kind of made it to where Cloud Library wasn't super useful for our Kansas partners. So we wanted to fix that. So here you can see we've got the Kansas collection. The big thing that's new is this ability to use the alternate library card. So here you would go in, check that, say, use the alternate library card. Also within library settings, you're going to go into your each of your library settings where you want to set this up. You're going to say show the alternate library card. Whether or not you need a PIN or password, that depends on your setup. And then you can give it some labels. So in this case, we're saying this is Kansas State Library card based off their PIN. And once that is set up, now when we do a search, so here I've got a search that's just limited to all Cloud Library titles. I'm going to just check out a title in Cloud Library. Hopefully I haven't checked this out before. I have. So let's check out a different one. Oh, that one's not available. So what it's going to do here, as soon as I get one that I haven't checked out, it's going to prompt you for your, actually, let's just go in here to my library card. Okay, so there it was checked out. In this case, I did have my alternate library card already defined, and I can go in and look at my checkouts. So here we can see all of my Cloud Library titles. From your library cards then, we can see we've got our main card and we've got our Kansas State Library card. So that allows us to define them. If these were deleted when we go to place the hold or check something out, it's going to prompt you for that information and then remember it for you. So nice workflow there for some advanced functionality for those libraries. Going back to release notes, we're just going to talk through some of the indexing things. So a lot of this was based off the catalogers meeting. And some enhancements and refinements to things we've done in past months. So Blu-ray 4K combo packs, we used to look for it as Blu-ray and 4K. We found a few cases where people were using a plus symbol in between, so you can do either now. If something gets identified as both manga and a graphic novel, we're going to say it's manga. Updated that to work for side loads as well. And then we also have the ability to choose which fields to look for bib level call numbers. So for some of our academic and special libraries that are using Library of Congress call numbers instead of Dewey, those are stored in different bib level fields. What we did is the ability then in indexing profiles, so you can define which call numbers you want to choose. So if you have your call numbers in, I think the 050 is one of the other ones where those are used. So you can change that around if you need to. So nice little tweak for call numbers for some of the special libraries. We also added to our diagnostics panel. So here, when we do the diagnostics that are in staff view, we now have literary form information. So this is telling you what it's reading in order to find literary form. So we can say, hey, in this case, we're finding this based off the leader, and therefore we're setting it to fiction based off the leader and the 008 field. We're loading that information for each ILS. As we go down here, we're going to say like, this is mostly fiction, 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 fiction. There is in this case, let me find it. So here, this one Hoopla book decided it was nonfiction. So down at the bottom here, we can say, hey, we've got 29 of these records were identified as fiction and one was nonfiction. So, hey, sorry, nonfiction's off the island. We're going with fiction, not nonfiction for this work, and therefore setting that. So nice way to kind of see what Aspen is doing. We look at continuing to expand that information in the future. So cool stuff. Hopefully that's really helpful for figuring out why Aspen's doing certain things. Back to release notes with Koha, the 2405 release of Koha came out. And some early adopters and test servers are seeing that. We did find a few issues with that. There were a few things, contact information, messaging settings, and resetting pins that we don't have APIs for. So we're doing something called screen scraping, where we're just loading things in the back end. That process just had to change a little bit and get tweaked. All of those things now work properly. So that's all really cool. Let's see, Overdrive. Oh, Palace Project. Keep finding more good new fun things here. In Palace Project, we added a collection report. So the idea here is we have a bunch of different collections, especially if you have different collections for different libraries. Being able to know how many titles exist for each one of those is really important. So we are now adding those to a collection report just so that you can kind of get summary information and make sure that things are loading properly. So kind of a nice little tool. We'll certainly use it for support to say like, hey, why is North Branch not doing the right thing? Do they actually have the right number of titles? Search updates. This was another request during the community meeting. So being able to show hold and copy counts always. So here we have at CW Mars, they have a few things that are on shelf. Previously, those titles would not have the number of copies and number of people on the wait list listed because it's available. In a large consortium, we understand that if there's a lucky day title that happens to be on shelf or something, it will still show as on shelf. But not, but we do want to see how many people are on the wait list. So that will be cool. Just checking the chat real quick to make sure there's nothing to respond to. Yeah, I like the idea of having diagnostics be a little bit more configurable, especially as we get bigger, to be able to say like, I just care about the ILS or I don't care about Hoopla in order to see what's going on there. So, and diagnostics does not currently show where audience pulls from. We just got to the literary form. So the audience is definitely something we all want to. Other search things. So we added the ability to control where the explore more bar shows. So you can say, hey, I don't want to show it in catalog or summon or EDS or EBSCOhost. So right now, if I say, hey, I don't want to see that in summon. So here I've got it, a summon search that has solar panel and it is showing the catalog results. We could say, I don't want to do that. So we'll save those changes and we'll do another search. And that just goes away. Can definitely see there's a few sources that didn't get included in that. I could see that being useful on events pages, website searches, that kind of thing. Also the ability to kind of do the reverse and say, keep the entire thing, but don't show summon within explore more. So maybe we just want to show events and web information and that kind of thing. So some cool things there. Also the ability to hide specific facets from searching. So under searching, we have, and search facets, we have the ability to, so by default, we're going to show all branches and all information in the available at and owning location facet. If we turn this off, so for example, if we've got a bookmobile or something that we still want to show the collection for, but don't necessarily want people to be able to filter down and say, hey, I want to see all of the things that are available at the bookmobile. The idea is that we can turn this off. I don't remember which one this is. So this is our kids collection. So maybe we want to say like, hey, we do have a kids collection. We're not going to show what's available there. It'll still show within on shelf. So if we wanted to see that it was a kids collection, we could. But if we turn that off and save it and then redo the search, now when we look at the available at, the kids collection is not there. So the records are included, just not shown. Little bit of a special case for a few things, and that's both the owning branch and the available now at. Then the last thing I wanted to show was this is a new way of doing, so this is kind of alpha content. We've got a new web builder that is being worked on. So it's called Grapes, which stands for Grapes.js, which is the JavaScript library used to provide drag and drop functionality. Again, this is kind of basic. We're not going to show it within the main interface yet until we have a chance to kind of all explore it and provide some internal feedback on it. But the idea here is we have different templates. So by default, there's a no template option, which just lets you do whatever. I created a 2-column standard template. In this case, it's just got a name. If we click Open Editor, that's how we get to our visual editor. And the idea here is we can kind of just drag and drop. So if we wanted to say, hey, we're going to add some more text in here, we can have this as another text block. If we didn't like where that was going, we can drag and drop that to another place. We can set up, if we add, we can say, let's add an image. And then you can click to add images there. There's a variety of other built-in things, videos, maps, links, quotes, that kind of thing. So we'll definitely be looking at it to kind of see how it's all working, get used to it internally, and then be able to, and also we see like enhancing this with other things like being able to drag in collection spotlights and that kind of thing. Once we save that, we'll go back to our templates. From there, we can go to an actual grapes page. We can add a new one. We can give it, just gonna call this test grapes. That's title. We're gonna start that with a 2-column one, and we're gonna add that to just, yeah, just the catalog pages. And then from there, we can open an editor. it's already set so that we have all of our new stuff in there. We can just modify it. So good way to get like some of with the templating, be able to get some of your standard branding in, standard layouts. We're excited to see what all people want to do with this. Should be really cool. One more thing that I'll mention, let's just go back. Within some of the ILS pages in the dashboard, additional graphs have been added. So for both ILS and Summon, so you can kind of chart and see how many like logins are being done over time and that kind of thing. So functionality we've had in other dashboards starting to come to new dashboards. I think that's all to cover. Jordan, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Thanks so much, Mark. Today, this is normally when we do our Aspen Lita demo. Today, we don't have anything specific to show. If you look at the release notes, you will see a few small bug fixes, but Mark actually demoed the majority of what we have today. For Lita, what we're working on right now is the account notifications within Lita. So if you have a hold coming due or a hold is available for you at the library, you will be able to get those push notifications in Lita. Right now, what we're working on right now will only be available for Koha libraries. This is one of those one ILS at a time things. The Sierra and Symphony groups have already reached out to me to say this is what they want to see next. It's a lot easier for us to work with Koha just because open source nature, we have a lot of connections with Koha. Please, if you are interested in these for your ILSs, come to those ILS meetings. We will be working on this with you to help understand how notices work within that ILS, whichever ILS you use, so that we can bring this functionality to everyone.